23-21, the Washington Commanders pick up a huge playoff victory in the wildcard game last night in Tampa. They beat the Buccaneers, and this was a game that I think a lot of us knew could happen. I actually predicted last week that Washington would win this game 23-20.
And as we sit here on Tuesday morning, I think we're going to win, man. I think we're going to win the game. I'm not ready to give out a score prediction quite yet. I think we're looking at a divisional round matchup. Don't care who it is. I think Washington's going to snap this. You know, our last playoff win was 19 years ago today.
It was, man.
January 7th.
Man, you put me out there. You said, I can do it later in the week. Now I'm going to do it today.
Hey, talk to me.
23-21 Washington.
There we go. There we go. 23-21 Washington. You heard it first.
Field goal from Gonzalez to win it.
Last second. Oh, no, you're scaring me when it's coming down to Zane Gonzalez rather than number 5. But I will take it. I don't care how they get it done.
But I didn't know literally if they could pull it off. Well, they did. And we're going to talk about that today here on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you joining me as always. If you want to follow me on social media, you can do so at Lake Lewis Jr. If you want to subscribe to this podcast, which is the Lake Lewis Jr. Show, you can do so on YouTube as well as on audio form such as Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. It's on there. So let's get right into it. The Commanders go to Tampa, and it was something that was really weird about last night in Tampa. I remember being there at the beginning of the season for week 1, and Washington lost. Well, we said all week long that Washington had a chance to exercise a lot of those demons if they were to win in Tampa, and they did so. And now, for me, it's crazy. Even personally, it's crazy because now looking ahead to this weekend, going to Detroit, I was just in Detroit for the draft. Matter of fact, I was one of the first people to interview Jayden Daniels as far as DC media, and it was just interesting to think about this, how everything is going full circle, that the Commanders have a chance to go into Detroit with their top rookie quarterback, with one of the guys that's really galvanized this franchise, this morbid fan base that was just gloom and doom for years, and rightfully so. And now everyone's excited to see all of those fans in Tampa last night, to see how the nation has embraced this team. Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, Josh Harris, Magic Johnson, Mitch Rails. It's really exciting times if you are a Commanders fan. And for all my young fans out there, congratulations, because you don't know what it's like to have this euphoric feeling and sustain it and can have it continue on. And when I look at this football team, I truly feel like this isn't going away anytime soon. This is a football team and a franchise that hasn't even scratched the surface. And yet, right now, they've carved their name in the surface. Trust me when I tell you, it's going to get even better. They're winning games right now on sheer grit and determination and a franchise quarterback and a really good wide receiver, too, all-pro wide receiver. But when you really look at the talent base of this football team as far as the skill set positions, it's a lot to be desired. They're going to upgrade, and it's going to get even better. So if you are a Commanders fan right now, you should feel on cloud 9. You should be up there in the clouds floating at this moment. It's good to see the fans excited. And again, it's awesome to see the young kids out there who just don't know this franchise to be worth a hoot, to be able to see these guys now celebrating and feeling like it's our time. They're going to have a tough matchup naturally this weekend against the Detroit Lions. And I want to say this too. I'm looking at this football game as it's almost a win-win for Washington, because they're playing against the king of the hill right now, the team with the best record in the NFC this year, a team that most people, including myself, feel like are going to the Super Bowl. A team that, if you're Washington, you get a chance to play against a team that has the blueprint on what you're trying to accomplish, of what you're trying to do as a franchise, as far as how you build through the draft, how you build a toughness, how you build a culture, how you build a brotherhood. And that's what Detroit has. And it's taken them 3 years to really progress to this level. We remember last year had, the 49ers on the ropes. Probably should have beat them out there. They didn't. And they've carried that, I don't want to say anger, but they carried that loss to the 49ers into this season. And despite the injuries, they're there. They're still the best team in the NFC. So if you're Washington, you go into Detroit with nothing to lose. You're playing with house money, but you get a chance to square up literally with the team that has shown the league how you build, how you do things the right way. So it's a win-win for Washington. If you go up there and you lose, hey, no one expected them to get to a divisional playoff game in their first year with new ownership, new coaches, new players. No one thought that. If you beat Detroit, you're really signaling that, maybe you've kind of like taken the torch away from the team that was supposed to be in the Super Bowl, and that's the Lions. So this is going to be a compelling matchup. And I will say this as we get ready to break down some things here today on the show. Detroit is, for my money, the most complete football team in all of football. I think the most talented roster in all of football resides in Philadelphia. But I think if you look at schemes and the way things are done and not getting, out of your comfort zone in any way, any shape, form, it's the Detroit Lions. And I'm looking forward to this matchup because Detroit defensively, they haven't played a quarterback like a Jayden Daniels. Well, most teams in the league will never play a quarterback like Jayden Daniels because he's one of one. But the point is, specifically this year, the Detroit Lions haven't played too many mobile quarterbacks, okay? And I remember going back to last year, Detroit traveled east and played the Baltimore Ravens and got obliterated. Lamar Jackson gave those guys fits. And I'm not saying that Jayden Daniels is Lamar Jackson and that's what's going to happen, but I'm telling you, Detroit has their hands full with Jayden Daniels. They absolutely do. This kid extends plays, doesn't make mistakes. The one thing you can get mad at Jayden at, if you want to get mad at something, is sometimes he underthrows his guys, throws balls in the dirt. Okay. Well, he's not throwing them in the arms of other guys in the opposing jerseys, and that's all that matters. Jayden Daniels has eclipsed what anyone thought a rookie quarterback could do in the NFL. He's playing at a higher level than a Peyton Manning was as a rookie. He's playing higher than a Tom Brady. And if someone's going to say, well, Tom Brady, got his team to a Super Bowl. I mean, that team was a Super Bowl caliber football team. And people thought when Drew Bledsoe was quarterbacking them before he got knocked out, that they were going to be a really good football team regardless. No one thought the Washington Commanders were going to be as good as they are. And I'm including myself, who said that this team was capable of winning 11 games.
I know it's early. We're only 3 days into camp. You've been around the team all offseason. You've been around Adam Peters in the new front office, the ownership group, the coaching staff. How good immediately can this team be in 2024, especially if Jayden Daniels hits the ground running as a rookie quarterback?
Well, right now I have them as no worse than a 9-win football team. Ooh. Right. And that was before training camp even started, from what I saw in the offseason. Mm-hmm. Now, from what I'm seeing, it's going to come down to me, the wide receivers. They're going to have to make plays. They have to. But you know what? The way, they're being utilized, the way Cliff's using them, there's a lot of motion. They're not being jammed on the line, They're making sure guys can get free run off the line, do some different things, different looks. I think this football team could be a 10-win football team. And if Jayden is really what we think he can be, and that offensive line plays much better than they have in the past, you might be looking at an 11-win football team. I'm telling you right now, this is not the team that you've seen over the last several years. If their team stacked up today and played each other, they beat the hell out these old teams.
I truly felt that way. But I'm thinking this team is as dangerous as any team in the playoffs. I'm thinking that this team has an absolute chance to beat the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Something that if you told me this a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I would tell you wherever you got your sack from, it was strong because you would have been smoking something. I'm saying to you right now, I don't think Washington is totally outclassed here. I think Detroit's the better football team. I'm going to tell you that right now. Yes, they're the better football team. That comes from experience. It comes from having playmakers in key positions, and it comes from having a quarterback that runs a system probably better than anyone. If you say anything about Jared Goff, I don't want to hear anything negative, because call him a system quarterback, call him whatever you want. He's running his system as best he can. And they do a really good job of that. Jahmyr Gibbs is uber exciting back, one of the most dynamic backs in football. They have their work cut out for them, Washington does. And we all know Washington's Achilles is their defense, and their defense not being able to get teams off the field on third downs. That's where Detroit kills you. So this is going to be a lot of compelling matchups in this football game. I don't want to get too much into a breakdown of the game yet, because we'll do that later in the week. It's going to be a short week. You get back from Tampa, and you got to go to practice tomorrow on Tuesday. Normally Tuesdays our NFL media and players day off. Well, not this week because of a Saturday game, and it's an early Saturday game. So we'll be in practice tomorrow. I'll be out there giving you guys updates. We have practice again on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday is going to be a day off, which normally would be a Saturday, but because they're playing Saturday, that's the schedule that we have. So as we get later into the week, pretty much by Thursday, I'm going to give you an update on everything that's going on out there, key injuries, and if there is anyone injury. Fortunately, last night, everyone got out of Dodge pretty much unscathed. Deron Payne had a finger injury, a hand injury. We'll monitor that this week, see if it affects him more. But for the most part, this was a solid win against a solid Tampa football team. Say what you want about the Buccaneers. They came to play, and they played hard, and Mike Evans had his way with Marshawn yesterday. He really did. Bucky Irvin had some nice runs. Jalen McMillan didn't do a whole lot, but still, they were there. Baker Mayfield actually played pretty well. He did have the costly fumble that we all remember, in the fourth quarter, I think with like 9 minutes left. He gave Washington the ball inside, Tampa's red zone. So Washington capitalized on that. But if you look at overall the performance of the Commanders, it never seems like the pressure gets to this team. It never seems like they get, rattled or off the hinges a little bit. It seems like as the game gets later and they're still in the game, their confidence grows. And that's because yesterday they did what they've done all year long. They've won 6 games now where they've scored on the final drive or in the final possession. That is unheard of. No one does that. I think I saw a stat that said that hadn't been done since 1970. So we're talking about historic numbers, historic feats that this young football team is doing. You have the veteran players, the Zach Ertz, the Bobby Wagners, who've really, put their stamp on the team. And you can say Terry McLaurin too, because in 6 years in, he's a veteran. He's a key, solid veteran. So these guys have put their fingerprints all over this roster of young talent. But now, when you go into a game like this weekend against Detroit, it's going to be a hostile environment at Ford Field. Just being there, like I said, at the draft, the city is, renovated. It's a nice city now. I mean, they've done a wonderful job in Detroit, and looking forward to getting there for this. But the fans are rabid for a Super Bowl that's eluded them, for their whole franchise history. You've got to go back to like 1957 for the Detroit Lions to have an NFL championship. And obviously that was pre-Super Bowl days, so now they have a chance and they're close to getting to somewhere where they've never been. Well, I think that brings pressure to the table, if you ask me. I think that makes Detroit vulnerable because they're 9-point favorites, 9.5, if I'm not mistaken, to win this game against Washington. That's the early line in this, which is extremely high for me. And if you're a betting person, I'm not encouraging you to, but if you are, I'm telling you taking Washington with the points as of today, unless that thing lowers. But 9 points is a lot of points. Washington's playing with house money, and I think that they have a chance to win this football game. Not giving you a prediction yet. Remember, tomorrow I'll be on Rambling with Rio Robinson, my good friend Rio. And, we do a great job on there. At least I think we do, talking about this football team and giving you our insight and takes on what's going on. We'll do the show in the morning. And then, like I said, I got to get on the road, get to practice, and, see what's going on in Ashburn with this football team. So want to jump on here real quick with you on a Monday. Normally don't give you stuff on Mondays. I still don't have a voice right now. Still just trying to get my bearings together. But we'll be back tomorrow at a full throttle. Like I said, the pod in the morning, and then, stand up for practice and everything that's going on out there with coaches, interviews, players, the whole nine. We'll have it all for you right here on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Remember, you want to subscribe, you can do so via audio at Apple, Spyheart, iHeartRadio, you name it, the podcast carrier, it's on there. And then you can watch it. If you're watching it now, what's up? You can watch it here on YouTube at the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. You can subscribe to it. You can go to my channel on YouTube, which is the Lake Lewis Jr. So once again, everybody, appreciate it. Big, big, big win for the Washington Commanders, 23-21. They move on to the divisional playoffs, where now they're going to take on the top-seeded Detroit Lions at Ford Field Saturday. It's going to be a headbanger, because I'm telling you, the Commanders are going to show up. As Terry McLaurin said, they're excited. They have nothing but respect for Detroit and everything they've accomplished and built. But at the end of the day, if you're Detroit, you have more pressure on you to succeed here. You were supposed to get to the Super Bowl. You were supposed to, hold home field turf. You're supposed to win. And the odds makers have you as 9-point favorites, as I said, against an upstart Washington Commanders team that comes into the game with nothing to lose, is playing house money. That could make things a little interesting. That could make it a little tight around the collar for the Lions if Washington were to jump on them early and do what they did against Tampa, show that they're there to win. I thought those were some gutsy calls by Dan Quinn. I tweeted them out during the game that I probably would have kicked some of those field goals early. Well, Dan Quinn didn't do that. He went for it, and that was clearly the signal. We didn't come here to stay on our heels. We came here to put pressure on you if you're Tampa, and it worked, and it did, and they won the game. So kudos to Dan Quinn and Washington Commanders coaching staff. So we'll have a lot more for you tomorrow here on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Take care and appreciate you, my friends.